Hello and welcome to the Miko Bits show, and I am your host, Miko Bits. So today I have Josh, and we're going to be doing a DeFi hangout. So I think this will be a lot of fun. Josh is former Consensus. He's working on some pretty exciting projects, but he and I met actually in DeFi Nation inside of their chat room. So, that's pretty fun. So we're both part of this broader DeFi community. So what I wanted to say first of foremost is it's an opinion show, information and entertainment. It's not investment advice. So if you want investment advice, get a licensed professional. Before we start, if you're interested in Bitcoin and blockchain, please consider clicking that subscribe button and also click the bell so you can get notifications about future videos that I might post. Thank you. Okay, without further ado, it's Josh. Hey.
Hey, Miko. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like your shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, I got this for volunteering at ETH Denver. This is the Yogi Pegabuficorn from the 2019.
That is fantastic. It kind of looks like a cupcake with a candle sitting in it. That's my...
From further away, I've certainly been accused of that, yeah.
But I do like the kind of angelic, religious, spiritual unicorn. Like it's all in there. It's very Ethereum.
It's the exact opposite of the sentiment of DeFi right now. Just a cool, calm, collected Pegabuficorn just hanging out.
I like that. So let's unpack that. So tell me about kind of fear and loathing, or whatever the exact opposite of that shirt is.
Yeah, it's been wild. One of the sentiments going around crypto Twitter and everywhere else is that we are supremely lacking in sleep. I think we went through like a month period where there was a new project drop every like 25 minutes.
Yeah, I was chatting with DeFi Dad, and his comment, he was basically like, "Oh, I can't sleep," and and I was kind of like, "Well, is it because you're a new dad?" And he's like, "No, it's all the new coins," and it was so funny because his feeling on that topic was he was basically like, I had kind of expressed that I'd given up keeping track of all the new things. And he was basically like, it's so hard to because in a way, it reminds me of like the original text adventure game where you get into this area where it says you're in a maze of twisty passages all alike.
Yeah.
And it says go north, and then it says you're in a maze of twisty passages all alike. So you can just keep going in any direction. And I don't know, that feels a little bit like, or maybe like a hall of mirrors, or it's a very interesting feeling right now. I mean, how are you feeling about the DeFi? I like how you said it's the opposite of your shirt. That's good.
It is. I wish I took my own shirt's advice. I'm a big fan of DeFi Dad too. His tutorials are great. I got to work with him at Consensus. He's a really just a down-to-earth, good person who is not trying to get swept up in all the scams, is actually trying to provide a service that helps new folks grow.
I totally respect the guy. Definite like soft spot. I just love the dad thing. Like it's so great and like warm, and I think he's got a better show than I do, because he's so pragmatic, right? Like he's really like I'm gonna help you do all the things, and the thing, but I think the thing he and I share from an ethos perspective is very much kind of, I think we're both pretty moderate, I think, with respect to kind of like wild risk taking adventurousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he mentioned that on his Zapper community call, yesterday, that like it's really interesting to hear somebody that's like entrenched in DeFi saying that their risk is a little bit more conservative. They're a little bit more averse to it, because everybody else in the known universe is like, you guys are all crazy.
Yeah, it's so true. And, the thing that's so funny is like, if you go look at like DeFi rate, right? Like you look at DeFi rate, like yesterday I was looking at it and it was like, oh, look, it's like Fulcrum, right? That's like BZX, and it's like 49% APY. And it's sort of like people on a chat I was on are scoffing at yields below like 200%. They're basically like 49%. That's rubbish. Like, yeah.
It's really wild. Like we're desensitizing ourselves to what would be incredible interest rates. There's a really funny tweet the other day. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. That was like, yeah, it was really easy investing when T-bills were earning 5%. And it's like, it'd be just insane right now if traditional finance was churning out just 5% on
Yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah. The Austrian economist Mises basically said that all economic activity flows from dissatisfaction. Right. That's it. Like, so he basically posits that like what causes people to move is sort of dissatisfaction. Right. And so it's so funny because when you look at like yields from that perspective, then one of the things that's kind of causing DeFi and kind of the whole blockchain space broadly to sort of become this sort of sucking nexus is basically that the yields available in traditional finance are zero, right? Like,
yeah.
the if you look at the FOMC, not FOMO, if you look at what the Fed says, the Fed is like, rates are zero until 2023, right? That's what they declared.
Some countries went negative, and
Yeah,
we've
and they're like
negative.
they're super excited about like, oh, we would love to have 2% inflation, like we're just going to keep holding this until we get the inflation we want, right? Which is wow.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend who is in crypto but is not interested in any of the DeFi stuff, meaning exactly what you on your show have suggested not to do, which is just hold your coins in Coinbase because not your keys, not your crypto.
Yeah.
And he's just he's like, what is this DAI thing? And he holds Link.
Link
And
Marines.
yeah, I don't think he's a Marine because he doesn't do anything outside of Coinbase.
Link Army.
Yeah, in a Link boot camp. And I was telling him about Aave and that he could loan it out anywhere between like, I think it's at 0.19% right now. And then you can toss it over into a urine, like, so why a Link? And you're getting like 40 something percent. And he's like, it's not worth it. It's just, there's too much risk, and 0.19%, I'm not gonna. All right, well, what are you getting in the bank account? Not that. You're not getting 1%.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's so I agree with you. The yields are bananas. So it's definitely a weird world, and it's kind of a vortex. It's a bunch of pinwheels, or it's a bunch of money spinners.
Do you have like a mental where you're like, if it's not X%, I'm not even gonna bother?
I don't. The thing that's so funny about this world is it's definitely upside down land, because the thing that's so goofy about it is that like it makes me feel like an old guy. And to be perfectly honest, like I kind of am an old guy in the sense that like I kind of think about things like Sharpe ratio. So I kind of think about things like portfolio construction, so I think about risk, and I think about kind of like, how do you do asset allocation, right? So the way you do asset allocation in the stodgy old fashioned way is that you basically keep the base in something that's less risky, and then you kind of create smaller and smaller pockets that each of which pursue more and more risk, right? So the way you pursue extreme risk is that you do it, but you do it with the small bucket, right? So that becomes kind of like this, psychology of asset allocation. But the thing that's so topsy-turvy, or it has been, about the space, is that the best thing to do, lately has just been to go all in on like the smallest shitcoin in the world, So like take everything you have and like jam it into like the smallest possible shitcoin, and then like pray or like cross your fingers.
I'm glad that I can comfortably say I've never done that.
But it's funny, right? Because people are quote unquote rewarded for that. And the thing that's kind of amazing is that they're rewarded for doing that until like rug pull, right?
Yeah, or they dump on other people. And so then you create this like hype cycle where your entire identity is about now pumping this coin that you have your entire financial stake in, and so now you become a non-trustworthy person on Twitter who's just a joke.
Yeah, that's true. That's kind of the degen Chad land. You sort of become the kind of character with the veins in his neck, kind of that. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but there's always these memes
Degen
about.
Spartan, I'm a fan.
Yeah. Degen Spartan's awesome, but like I was
Well, and I
thinking,
think the best part of Degen Spartan is that he's not a degen, and that's like the underlying joke. And I hate the whole like few understand meme, so I'm definitely not going to say that. But if you look at what he says, what he does, the trades that he actually claims to make, they're not degen trades. It's actually a very conservative portfolio.
yeah. But it's great. It's great memography to be doing that. And I think the 300, the Sparta thing, like that's all great. That all fits the mood. But the thing that's so funny is like, it's so weird what's happening now. Like in a way, I think we're seeing kind of some pullback. So I don't know what your feeling is about it. I mean, there's definitely kind of some chaos out there.
I and I don't specifically understand TA very well, but I
Me
saw
either.
some earlier that suggested that we're just kind of within a normal funnel. That this is a normal retracement, and so you can kind of tell who didn't survive 2017, 2018 when they're like, oh, it's crashing, the world is ending. It's like, no, this is just a correction.
I
Maybe
think
don't have your entire portfolio in volatile assets and you can just go on with your life. Like, you know, nothing happened.
but I was 100% yam.
Okay, here's a funny, I didn't want to buy Yam. I didn't want to buy it with my
I love this
main
story. I love this
portfolio.
story because the thing that's so great is that it's already a Greek tragedy. It's already a
Uh,
Greek tragedy, and I'll
it's
tell.
actually not. It's
Okay.
a comedy. It's a Greek comedy.
Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. So
Um,
please go on. I love the beginning though. The beginning is awesome.
so, but I didn't want my public portfolio to have any sort of yam in it, right? I am one of the people who says you should farm a thing and not buy a thing.
Yeah.
And so when Yam came out, I don't know, I had some like Link ETH LPs, I had some Lend ETH LPs, um, and I wasn't doing anything with them. So I was like, sure, I'll farm some Yam. But I wanted to buy one because it was going to take me a long time to get to one. So I created a burner MetaMask wallet,
Awesome. That's
and
your like side like degen wallet.
yeah, that I used for exactly one thing. I bought two yams. I think it was like $100. So at the time, it was a little bit less than one ETH that I put into yam, and I bought two yam. And that wallet got 400 uni because I had created it. And so that's why it's not a tragedy because
Super
the
success.
the two
Greek
yam,
comedy.
yeah, $300 turned into 3 cents, that turned into like $1,800.
I
So
love that. I love that. And I also love the kind of scheming idea of like having a burner wallet. It's so awesome. It's so awesome because like, obviously if you look at something like DeFiDad.eth, right? It's like that's his official wallet. Like,
it's like
but it
his
makes
work account.
yeah, but it makes me wonder if he's kind of like, jamming on like pickle at night or something.
No, we definitely are. Every single person in this space should be like, that's just good OPSEC because all right, so everybody has that wallet that is connected to their three box that is kind of connected to their public identity,
Yeah,
and you're not supposed to keep a decent amount of money in it. You're
makes sense.
you're supposed to, because your bank account is tied to your identity. It's one of the really cool things about just decentralized finance, more in the broad sense of what Web3 is trying to accomplish, and less in the sense of degenerate tokens. But um, you don't really still want. Maybe the people who are ideologically there do want that, but I don't particularly want my entire net worth publicly shown on an ETH address.
Yeah, that seems ill-advised anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, it's a funny world. It's definitely kind of new, and there's a lot to it. I guess in terms of like what's your take on pickle? Have you been kind of following it?
I have. It's actually not to shill because that's not my job here. It's my favorite.
Yeah, you know what though is like Vitalik actually tweeted some relatively nice sentiment towards it, and like I think that one of the things I like about Pickle is that it actually performs a stabilization function, right? A meta stabilization across stable coins.
Yeah.
So to me, it's trying to do something benevolent on behalf of the ecosystem.
So as one of the moderators of the DSD, which is the DeFi Signals DAO,
Yeah.
the DeFi Nation DAO,
Yeah.
which is kind of like a little fraternity for,
And sorority.
I don't know, I guess, yeah, sorority for more like, I don't want to use the word advanced, but like,
Nerds.
it's a group of people who, yeah, we're nerds. We don't, nobody's in there like asking when moon and how do I connect MetaMask. It's like a little bit beyond that. So it's you're kind of getting away from the Moon Boys.
Yes. Yes.
And the Chads.
Already bought our Lambos. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
But as a moderator, I get like maybe 50 to 1,000 DMs per day.
Wow.
All
popular.
Yeah, there was one day that was just ridiculous. Just trying to add me to all these different Discords. There's a lot of crap out there.
Yeah, there was some wag that actually looked in Uniswap and just started looking at the most recent Uniswap listings. And they basically said, I think on Twitter, it was like 35% of them were already rug pull.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about it is that there's lots of bots that will be the first ones to buy any Uniswap listing, and so people were trying to game them to see how much of a just out of thin air shitcoin they could stick a bot with.
That's cool.
That's just so wild. But my point was, I was added to Pickle from like day one, and it just watching that community grow is really exciting. And then there was the Vitalik tweet, and then you're kind of like at these low numbers. There's absolutely no way that this coin that came out of nowhere could bring DAI back to its peg. It's like $1 million,
it's a heavy lift,
$20 million, $50 million.
A very heavy lift.
Yeah, it's like you're not going to bring DAI back to its peg. I don't know if they can take credit for it, but I'm a big fan of the pickle jars, which if you're not familiar with are it's a second dip of the pickle where you take this was like to kind of combat Uni back. So Uni dropped and it literally broke Ethereum. No, it didn't break Ethereum. It took gas up into the 700s.
Yeah.
Nobody could do anything.
Yeah.
And so they're like, here, you can deposit all of your big four stable coins with ETH. And Pickle just immediately responded, was like, all right, take those, bring them back over here, and we'll give you another return for it. And then a few days later, they created a third dip where you could take the token you get in receipt of that. So your LP, your LPT, and then they gave you another place to deposit that to earn pickles again. And you like this entire, like it's a Shakespearean play in 5 acts, and the entire thing has taken place within we're on like day 12 right now?
Yeah. I love that. I totally agree with you. Like and the thing that's amazing about something like Pickle is that like it really underscores this theme of kind of meta stability and these kind of emergent capabilities, right? Because the thing that's so funny about like one way of looking at Pickle is like, Pickle, I understand that Pickle is actually the thing when someone's trying to steal a base and they get caught between, the people throwing the ball, and
caught in a pickle.
Yeah, caught in a pickle, right? That's the thing, right? And in a sense, like it has almost the energetic quality of it where but if you look at it, it's almost like a central banking function, right? In the sense that it's really kind of trying to buy and sell in a pattern, and ultimately the thing that's cool about anything attempting to restore stability is that it's always consistently buying low and it's constantly selling high, right? Like it's, because if it dips, so it has this kind of intrinsic property which will kind of cause it to aggregate, right?
Right.
So I think it's just it's hard to fault the scheme.
Yeah, and it gets lopped in with the emoji food meme,
Absolutely, because it's a
but it's
food.
kind of a little bit above that.
It is. It is. That's the reason why I brought it up. Like there's a 10,000 food meme shitcoins that we could be talking about, but like that's a really curious one.
And I did play with more than I'm proud of. But what I figured out really early, and this is based off of the last Bear Bowl bear, that you have to, like, HODL is not a good strategy for DeFi swings.
Yeah, not anymore.
No. That was just something that they told new people so that they could unload their bags. That's not a no. You're so yield farming, right? This is the overall the concept. How many farmers do you know will take the harvest that they yielded, will stick it in their barn, and will just hold on to it for a few seasons, and then hope that the
Yeah, that's
vegetables
not a
get
thing.
improve over time? No, you have to you farm your vegetables, you take it to the farmer's market, you sell your vegetables, you go home, you farm more vegetables. Like that's
Yeah. But the problem though with that, though is that the vegetables aren't all that nutritious.
pickles are plenty nutritious. But you're making a comment of like, well, what if it like so pickles trading in like the 40s right now, but the all-time high is 80. So do you hold on to it till it gets to the 80s? Obviously, digital assets aren't the same as food that's spoiling.
Right.
Um,
Right. But I think you alluding it to it that way is smart and it's interesting, right? Because I think your tendency definitely is like, try not to buy the asset, just go on a Uniswap and just buy the thing, so
yeah.
just farm it up, and then generally speaking, like, farm it up and sort of let it go, right?
Well, to complete the analogy, they do hold on to some of their crop because they have to eat, right? And so what do you do with it? You jar it.
Yeah, I like that. So it's really cucumbers that you're farming, and then you put the pickles. You can put the cucumbers in the vinegar.
Yeah, well, so like the first few cycles of it, sorry, new coin drops, you're one of the first 100 or first 500 people that are there. The first set of yield, you can either sell to like to recoup the gas and the ETH that you put in, or you can double, you put it into pool two so that the second yield makes you break even. And then you pretty much can just continue that cycle until the entire thing collapses. And so you just have to you have to not be the last one holding the bag. And I think that entire paradigm that I just described is not a sustainable way to bring retail into the
Ha!
space.
Yeah, no
The,
kidding.
the conversation the last 2 days has been about like, I see this quote going around, like, if you can't find the retail, you are the retail. And I think that's partially true in that with DeFi, it's like the same maybe 2,500 to 10,000 people who are doing all of these things together.
Yeah.
And then there's a random 1,000, 1,500 just being brought into these Telegram groups that have never done anything before.
Yep.
It's wild. Like, so we've been in the space a while. We think of these things as Legos, where you're like,
Yep.
all right, Ethereum, and then like a maker CDP, and then you can take the DAI and you do this, you lend it out, you deposit it somewhere, and there's just all these, and then you get into the food coins. My hand's off camera. That's funny. And so there's like all these Legos that build on each other, and the whole space is like dog foodie and what's that, cooperative, like we're helping each other build something.
Yep.
And then you find these people in these discords and telegrams who found pickle or like jiaozi for like the first time, and it was the first thing that they ever experienced
Yeah.
in all of crypto. Hadn't heard of Bitcoin, Ethereum,
That's
nothing. And you're like,
mind-boggling.
what do you do? Like, how did you end up here?
Yeah.
Why is this where you ended up?
Yeah. That is really strange.
So retail is coming in, but they're not sticking around. So this model is not sustainable for bringing in the real retail. But some of the other things that we're doing with like I think Yearn is a solid way to eventually
I
bring
think
in
that one of the
retail.
things that's happening is that people, like I had Alex Mashinsky on from Celsius, and I feel like the thing that's so funny about like CFI and DeFi, like I'm a pragmatist, so I'm not so much kind of religious about all of these things, right? Because, like the Celsius folks are doing some DeFi stuff, right? And so,
Mhm.
In a way, what they're just doing is that they're adding kind of a management layer, right? And it's funny because there's DeFi projects that also have this kind of concept of having a management layer,
Yeah.
and so like how D is that? I mean, I would say obviously the governance aspect is D, but I would say at the end of the day, there's still kind of this concept of a manager, a fund manager, and this kind of thing. Not in all cases, but in some, right? So in some cases, there's a fund manager, But I guess the thing I'm trying to say with all this though is that like something like a Celsius or a BlockFi can be an entry point for like retail, right? Because they can
Yeah,
just
I agree.
do something fairly simple. Like they can even do just Bitcoins. They can be like, oh, I want Bitcoins, and then they can like get
so yeah,
yield.
I'm in a group from way back from like a DC Bitcoin meetup group, and they look at me like I'm crazy when I talk about the DeFi stuff. I'm like, you guys gotta get on pickles. They're like, no.
Yeah, they're like no pickles.
But like the last week or so, finally getting around to, they're like, oh, maybe I will do BlockFi. And like the fact that they're actually starting to participate beyond Bitcoin maximalism is still, you're able to hold on to the underlying asset that you would like to hold on to, but then still get interest off of it, which kind of is what should be the primary thesis
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
DeFi.
It's interesting, right? Because absolutely, right? Which is, if you look at CFI, like you're definitely in not your keys, not your cryptolandia, and
Yeah.
that's what that is, right? Now, I think the thing that's so weird though about some of the fund manager concepts in this kind of smart contract is that putting it in a smart contract is just it depends mood, right? It's an it depends thing, right? Because if the smart contract says, this other random person can just take it out and then it's gone, like if that's what the contract says,
Yeah,
then it's not the same thing as holding it in your wallet now, is it?
that's true. On this note, I would be remiss if I didn't plug what I'm currently working on,
Okay,
because it is on that topic
great. Yeah,
of
yeah.
funds.
Tell us
Um,
about it.
yeah, so I'm with Bill Warren. We're working on a project called Pool Party,
Pool
and what
party.
we're doing is, yeah, we're combining DAOs and DeFi
Okay.
together
Yep.
to build this kind of next, I don't want to say next generation of um, collaboration, but so DAOs are coming back
Okay.
because, and you said you're a governance nerd, so you're gonna like
Sure.
this. So what we're doing is we're taking these assets and we're making it so that individuals can join a DAO. The funds are being pooled, hence the pool party.
Yep.
And the
Nice name.
ones that are eligible to interact with, right now we're starting with idle finance. So the ones that are compatible with idle
That's great. I
will be
just
wrapped.
chatted with Mateo earlier today.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. And the pool will be earning interest. And
Why did you pick
your
Idle, by the way?
assets, your assets are still your assets. We picked idle. Bill would give you a lot of better reasons for why.
Uh-huh.
I think it's the stability. One, they're a little bit more cautious
They are.
in the space.
Yep.
Two, their documentation at the time when we started building it was superior to some of the others in
That's
that
great.
same
Yeah. For
sector.
those in the audience, this is idle.finance. And one of the funny things that I said to Mateo early on when we were talking about Idle is there's actually an entire genre of video games called idle clicker games.
Yeah, I play one of those.
Yeah, like cookie clicker or whatever. And the thing that's comical about idle clicker games is that what makes idle clicker games engaging is what makes DeFi yield farming engaging, which is something called mechanism discovery, which is that, if the entire game of cookie clicker was each time you click, it gives you a virtual cookie, the end. Like if that was the entire game of Cookie Clicker, there would be 0 players of Cookie Clicker because that's stupid, right? Like that's just patently
But you have to use the cookies to buy something else.
Cookie factories, right? So you're, so you're getting like C die, and you're getting, like blah blah blah, like a link, and
which brings it to the third reason, which was Idle was using in their back end different strategies to achieve the highest yields, and so by using idle tokens, you were getting exposure to Aave DYDX.
I love that. Because idle has these products which are kind of risk-adjusted yield product, and then they have kind of a normal, like, maximal yield product, and it makes sense.
It's a little bit, I don't want to say boring, but it is not for DeFi degen because it is more set it and forget it. It's like it is decentralized finance for people who are very comfortable with centralized finance world.
Well, and the thing that's great to me is that, like obviously there's a domain element of like, oh, idle.finance, that's a cool domain or whatever, but people talk about passive income, right? Like that's more the psychology, right? The psychology is put it in there and like Bob's your uncle.
And that's the real passive income, because I keep describing pickles as my passive income, because every morning I wake up and I have at least 1.5 days of salary yield that I just, then I'm not going to tell you what I do with them.
You put them in a jar and then you put them in the pantry.
Yes, I jar them and I put them in my pantry. But like, it's not a long-term stable thing because eventually that will dry up. There's no way that pickles are going to yield me over $100,000 a year. That would just be insane.
It could.
It very well could, but like that's not what people think of when they think of passive income.
Although think about it this way. Think about it this way. What if Pickle becomes sort of the meta central decentralized bank of like stable coins, right? So what if it continuously treasury manages all of these different stable assets, right?
If it does that, I could theoretically retire. But
it would just continue to infinitely grow, right? I mean, obviously Pickle competitors would appear, and but it's providing a service, so why wouldn't it kind of be around for the haul?
It is. I just don't think that. So when it started, it was like 7,000% APY, and then it dropped to like 3,000 to 2,000. Now it's in like the low 1,000s.
1,000%. That's a disgrace.
I know, it's so low. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Why bother?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to move everything because it's down to 1,000% APY. It's just crazy.
I'm going to Gherkin.finance. That'll be next.
Gherkin.finance. Yeah.
Yeah. Pickle's done. I can hear the keyboards of the degens already, like going Gherkin.finance.
You heard
is
it
that guy?
First,
is that guy dropping alpha? Like.
Yeah, somebody go to like GoDaddy or Namecheap and see if there's a.
There you go.
See what's out there.
It's not a good meme. It's not a good meme. It's not even spelled the way it sounds, so it's pretty much And Gherkin is kind of weird, right? Because at the end of the day, that in some ways, what in the UK, pickle is the plural of pickle, right? Because it's considered to be this kind of like. It's a substrate. It's sort of pickle is like this substance. It's a bit like
not countable.
Correct. They're not countable. So chutney, for example, is pickle. So in the UK, like it's essentially relishes are pickles in the UK, right? And if you want something that's countable, you would count gherkins. You wouldn't count. But pickles.
Relish also isn't countable. You said relishes.
Yeah. It's equivalent. Chutney, relish, pickle. Those are all like that's what the UK thinks pickle is.
And is that where you're based?
No. I was just riffing. I'm just
it was like the third or fourth like Britishism you dropped.
I'm just amusing myself with the concept of like, pickle being plural. Like that just amuses me. Pickle is the plural of pickle, that's anyhow, sorry. We're going down a tube.
Oh yeah, no, it's fine. It's a fun tube to go down.
Yeah, that's kind of it. And in a way, the thing that's interesting about where DeFi is that in some ways, some of these phrases, like the phrase you just said of "it's a fun tube to go down," is kind of almost the DeFi. It's almost the current status of DeFi, right? Which is we're all going down these tubes.
Yeah, well, I said to somebody the other day that like so the example from before where these people are like showing up in, Jiaozi.farm for and that's like the first experience. It's like you don't
Yes.
know how are people showing up at the bottom of the rabbit hole without ever going down the rabbit
Yeah.
hole.
It's so good. It's so good. I saw a T-shirt that sums this up so well. It's like even forget what the character was, a cute character, and then this phrase at the top, and it says, so the character is sitting inside of a little basket, and then the
Okay.
saying at the top says, "I wonder where we're going in this handbasket." Right, which is
That's a great shirt.
just a super innocent like gee,
Well, it should be a rabbit
we're
because
all
you've got the rabbit hole, and then you also have it going to hell in a
yeah, hell
handbasket.
and exactly. It's like I wonder
That's
where
a
we're
that's a
gonna
great
go
crossover.
in this handbasket, But in some
So
ways,
Miko and I are going to be selling NFTs that say hell in a
yes,
handbasket with a
meme
little rabbit,
coins, yes. But
with a little rabbit in a basket.
but in a way, like that concept of going down the tubes or going to hell in a handbasket or going down a rabbit hole, that's kind of, or in a maze of twisty passages all alike, that's kind of almost the mood, right? Which is like wow, and absolutely agree. Like new people are being like just thrown into this like
Yeah.
Thunderdome.
And I don't know if like the few and many were and rope were like the end of the line for me. Um, but like I'm kind of done with new stuff.
Yeah,
Are we
yeah.
allowed to be done with new stuff?
We
Are we
are.
allowed to be
We
like
are. We are. It's
no
like
more?
chasing yield. Like, it's that's not how it's done anymore.
Well, and since well, all right, and I don't want it's not a Ponzi, um, but like it kind of is a Ponzi. Like
Ponzi-nomics.
it's Ponzi-nomic, not Ponzi-nomical.
I like that. Well,
And
we
that
should publish a book called the Ponzi-nomicon. That would
Ponzi-nomicon.
that would
We're
be
hosting,
good.
yeah, we'll host a virtual conference of Ponzi-nomicon.
That's a good
Um,
idea.
but we, all right, so it's really interesting. We're replacing because these groups in Telegram still have like 5,000, 6,000 people in them.
Yes.
But the people who played the last 2 months are kind of sitting out the weirder stuff. It's funny that anybody listening to this would think that like sushi was the weirder stuff, and we're like, no, that was kind of a normal thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
but so retail is coming in because the numbers staying the same, and we're sitting it out. So the new people are the bottom of the Ponzi, whereas we thought it was a thing that was building, and yield farming was going to be this, $1 trillion industry, which it may still
But it's kind of
eventually.
this dreadful carnival, It's sort of a weird, spooky, like carnival after it's the
So,
party after people should have gone home.
so I was thinking up a really dumb game. Um, in the kind of the middle of it, I bought the domain inception.finance
Oh,
just for fun.
cool. I
Yeah, and
love that.
I don't want to talk about the like core mechanics because I don't want somebody to like take it. Well, they could build it and then we could just use my domain, whatever. I don't care. But if you think about what the token is that you're yielding, it's not worth anything except for the value of what is locked in it,
Yeah.
and what is locked in it is temporary.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The word locked is kind of a misnomer. It sort of implies something that's not exactly the case.
it's deposited temporarily.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so you take these LPs and you deposit them, or the LPTs and you deposit them, and then you're getting something that is just being minted, which is understandably, or why Bitcoin maxis are understandably upset because we have just replaced the Fed. Like Uniswap printed $5 billion
Yeah.
dollars
I get
overnight.
that. I totally get that. It totally uh I think way back in the ancient days, there were these concepts called fountains. I don't know if you remember, but like Bitcoin fountains. This is like way back in the early days, you
Oh,
know.
the faucets?
Yeah, faucets. Yeah, that
Yeah,
faucets, right?
I
Yeah,
use a faucet every day because there's no other way to get Coven ETH.
that's great. I use one to wash my hands because of COVID. No, but anyhow, but so you know, this has been really a great journey, and you know, I really appreciate jumping on the show. You know, happy to have you. You know, telling us about Pool Party. Sounds really exciting, and so you know, I definitely suggest people check it out. And you know, I think it's been great.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, really fun time. So I'll pack it in, and you know, we'll see you hopefully on here soon. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, great.